We have been combining two cars. We took everything from wiring harness, seats, engine, transmission, interior from a crashed Mini Cooper JCW tuning package car and swapped it into this really high mileage base Cooper with a blown engine. And so after upgrading from that 3 to 4 cylinder engine, we were able to actually start it. And that was amazing. And so in this video, we need to finish putting it back together and seeing if it will even drive under its own power.
Does reverse not work?
No. All while doing some really cool cosmetic mods. LCI 2 bumpers, here we come. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe. It's really appreciate it. My name is Ethan, and welcome to Car Creations. I really want this Mini looking more like a car. So what I'm gonna do first, before anything, is test fit the bonnet as well as the headlights. Now, we will be upgrading these headlights in the future, but I just want to plug something in so when we do the codes later on, we're not gonna get a ton of errors. Now, as you can see, there is a panel gap. So we are gonna adjust the hinges a bit more, and there we go. Panel gap's gone, and this car looks no longer like a Tesla. Next thing I need to do is flush the coolant. In order to do that, we need to make sure that the AC controls are working, and right now they're not. I don't really know why. Okay, so this isn't lighting up at all. It is plugged in back there. I think I found the solution. So I took apart a bunch of the dash, as you can see. Not a pretty sight. Down right here, don't know if you can even see it, we have a empty port that looks like it has power and ground. And I found it. It was trapped under the carpet way up there. So I pulled it. So now we should be able to just simply plug it in. Let's see if this works. It's gonna light up. It didn't light up. Let's go! I got it to work! Turns out if you don't have your screen plugged in, it doesn't work. I guess next step is now to bleed the coolant. All right, coolant flushed, and so now we're gonna work on some of the sensors. Because we completely changed wiring harnesses, there are a bunch more sensors that we need to connect to this car. And so first things first, we are going to connect the ride height sensors. In order to put them on, I'm gonna have to take off this door sill here so we can mount them about right here. Now, in order to do that, don't just start yanking. There is a bit of a process. So first of all, you have to remove this strip here, which is connected with double-sided tape. You don't want to bend this if you're going to use it again, and you do want to be careful. So yeah, that didn't really come up as easy as I wanted it to. Maybe we'll be replacing this. All right, now we have these little tabs in here. Is what they look like. So they're in like this basically, and you have to turn them this direction and then take them out. There we go. Now we can connect the sensor, and as you can see, it attaches right there. I did crack it when I took it off. It's really old plastic, brittle plastic. Guess we have to order a new one. Next up, we have to replace the front left driver's side axle because in the accident, it was completely obliterated. And when we tried to install the axle from the blue car, that one is for an automatic transmission and the teeth do not fit. So we had to order one from Amazon. I went on Amazon and I found this one for around $200. It's still a brand name aftermarket company, so it should be okay. It is for the driver's side, so that is good news. It smells nice. I think I'm gonna get my friend Simon to install this because I haven't done this before and he's done it a few times. He is a mechanic after all. And hopefully he won't have any issues with it. I really don't want to break it if I did it myself. Nice. Let's go. All right, axle sorted, now for suspension.
At this point in the build, he's working on putting the strut in. Wow. That is what that is. Actually, yeah. Oh, look at me go. Can everybody tell me why there's an O-ring in here?
The mechanic doesn't know where one of the bits go. This is worrying.
Do you want to go grab the old one again? See, I knew it would go on the spring thing, obviously.
So, as Ben obviously knew where it went, as well Simon obviously knew where it went. It goes halfway up the bolt with the spring on it.
Simon, you have the 17 mil hex thing. It's just what I need for my Mini Cooper axle.
This is so exciting. All we have to do now is top up the transmission fluid and the transmission should be sorted.
Well, I'm telling you, it's disgusting. Oh, tastes like chicken.
All right, transmission sorted, wheels back on. Now we have to see if it'll move under its own power. So we are going to drive the Mini off the lift for the first time since we pushed this car onto the lift.
Remove the little knob in the middle to go forward, so you know. We're rolls! And now right back on course.
And the brakes work!
The brakes work!
I might know how to bleed brakes. Does reverse not work?
No.
It probably just needs to work some fluid through there if I had to guess.
It just doesn't like reverse? Then?
Okay, car's not going into gear. We do have a very redneck idea.
All right, so we are going to try to shift through all the gears with the front wheels running. So we put it back in the lift, we lift up the front wheels, and we're gonna get up to highway speed, I suppose.
It might be a sketchy Zoe.
That works, Simon's a genius. Ready?
Let's not go that far. How fast can it go in reverse?
20 miles an hour.
Success! The car goes into every gear. Well, at least it did. As soon as we let it cool and turned it back on, it would not go into first. My bet is we did not bleed the clutch properly. The clutch does feel a little bit weird to me. So we are going to add that to our list of things to do. Let's continue looking at some of the sensors and making sure everything's plugged in.
My good wrench exploded. A million pieces.
It looks like the rear wheel speed sensors, the brake sensors, and the ride height sensors are not plugged in. So, time for that. What do we have to do in order to get this car moving? Currently on our to-do list, we have to bleed the clutch, and I also noticed that it was running a bit rough. As you see in this clip here, I turned it on and it very quickly stalled. So I just finished connecting the code reader and it would appear to me that there is a boost leak.
All right, so we got the cold air charge pipe out. It is very dented. We thought that it was just leaking some boost and it was just because of the slightly dented charge pipe, but it's actually much worse inside than it is on the outside. And if you take a look here, the intercooler has been cracked right there. We thought it was good, so we put it back on the car. After the boost leak, we decided to replace this, and the intercooler is bad too. So I guess we're replacing the intercooler. I guess we're gonna upgrade to an aftermarket one, so maybe some tuning down the road.
I am ordering some more parts. Hopefully ECS Tuning can come in clutch and we can get these here quick because this car is taking forever to build.
So in order to get the intercooler out, we have to lift up all of this. So off comes the top brace. Nothing like taking the car back apart. So we have the charge pipe and we have the new intercooler. We decided to upgrade a little bit. So maybe if we want to tune this car down the road, we don't have to redo all this work. So this charge pipe is made out of aluminum, I believe. So it should be able to get a bit more boost going through here than the flexible pipe that we have right here. And then our intercooler is actually pretty fancy, a lot more fancy than I originally intended. Huge. Look at that. First up first, we are going to install the charge pipe onto the car because right now we'll have more room to work in there if we don't have this sitting in there.
Ethan hugging the car.
Yeah. I love this car so much. So because this new intercooler is so big, we're going to take off the lower crash bar, which is 2 10 mils, and you have to be careful because this is actually really close to the ground, so these bolts can get rusted out. And if you strip these, it's not a happy day. Now we have to work at getting the charge pipes connected, so this one is a little bit annoying. You may have to lift the car up to get to it. Make sure that this is all connected on this side. So we're just gonna hand tighten these. I don't wanna go too terribly tight, but we can always go tighter later. And then I can put the clip back in.
Now we can get our front back together again. So I did some research and I do believe we can fix the clutch. It just should be a little bit of a bleeding issue. And I think I'm gonna order a proper pneumatic bleeder on Amazon. Maybe that'll work. And maybe we can get our clutch back and get into first gear so this car can come off the lift.
Thank you very much to BMW/Mini for making everything proprietary. They added a sieve in here, which is actually genius, so then you don't get junk in there. But unfortunately, it means that our universal adapter that holds this upside down will not fit into the reservoir. Not ideal because look, I already have it on my hands.
It's getting late and we're still running into issues. This time, the plastic bleeder nozzle of the slave cylinder broke as soon as we put the 11 mil socket onto it. Completely disintegrated. So now we have to order a new slave cylinder. This is why these projects take such a long time. So as we wait for the part, I want to address some of the car's cosmetic issues. Despite not even being crashed, this car's paint is absolutely terrible. Clear coat is coming off. There are rock chips, salt chips. Everything is terrible with this paint. Probably due to the fact that it had over 200,000 miles on it, all while living on the coast of Virginia. I bet that's kind of a hard life if you're a car. If you're a person, sounds kind of fun. So I'm gonna need to not only repaint the primered hood, primered bumper, the primered rear bumper, I'm also gonna have to repaint the actual paint of this car. So for now, I think we're going to attempt a wrap. And it's kind of perfect because my dad is visiting me from Canada right now, and he's actually learning to professionally wrap cars. So Dad, I got a project for you. One roll of blue Avery wrap costs around $600, probably a bit cheaper than painting, and should look fantastic on this car. I picked blue because, I don't know, I was happy with the color, and I really want to see what it looks like out in the sun, all in blue. Sue me. Actually, please don't. I spent ages putting these door handles in, so the last thing I wanted to do is remove them in order to get the wrap tucked in underneath. So my dad used a really cool method using knifeless tape. Basically, you just get this tape and you outline where you want the wrap to be cut. So he put a little strip going up and then under and out. Next step is to get your wrap and you put it over that spot. Once you have the wrap all smoothed out, then all you have to do is get the wrap stretched, smooth it all out, and you have the inside of the door handle. But we have all this excess that goes over top of the knifeless tape. So all you have to do is grab the little wire inside the knifeless tape, yank it through, cut the wrap beautifully, then remove the excess wrap. All right, handle's done. Looks incredible. Great job, Dad. Now we can finish this side of the car and then finish the other side of the car. Once again, doing the handle exactly the same way that we did here, and then just wrapping the rest of the door. This car is gonna look really good. I'm so excited. Wrap is so odd. You think that when it wrinkles, it means that it's ruined, but just a little bit of tension or maybe some heat to relax it, and it's honestly as good as new. It's quite unbelievable. Part of the trick when wrapping is that, first of all, you really want to find where the body line is and pin the wrap to that top body line, whether it's on the top or the side or wherever you want that body line to start. Once you pin it there, all you do is put the wrap on it and then pull it against that body line, and you can stretch it from there and wrap it across the panel.
It's both quicker and slower than I thought it would be.
Once the wrap is covering your panel, you can then set the wrap by using your hand or a roller or a squeegee. Don't use your heat gun to stretch the wrap. Just use a heat gun to relax it after you have messed up and made it all wrinkly.
If this is what I think it is, let's get this unwrapped. Woo-hoo-hoo. Let's go. You have found your next challenge.
Oh my goodness. This doesn't come apart, does it?
All right, so we nearly have this taken apart here.
Just have one in there. And technically this piece can come off so you can get to it, but it's glued on.
I am gonna have to slice that glue. I was able to get the bolt out. You can see.
Much easier to wrap now. While Dad finished working, I removed some of the trim to make it a bit easier, such as the chrome belt trim, the rear door handle, and I also peeled back the running boards to make wrapping just go a little bit quicker. For this job, we wanted to be super careful and preserve the cut out part for the sunroof in the middle, so then we can then use it for the boot. Cutting this wrap is taking absolutely ages, so I'm gonna do something fun. I'll leave Dad to that. He looks like he's happy doing it. Yep, okay. And I'm going to be working on putting together the bumpers. This is one of my favorite jobs about building a car, so I am gonna be my happy place.
I have a note to self. Always check your orders when you get something new shipped. Just about to wrap these panels.
As you can see here, we got one done for the front. That goes right here. Looks mighty nice.
We took the other one out and looking all nice, except for look,
Big hole in the top.
and this was actually cracked right here. The interesting thing is, probably long past return date on that. So I got most of the bumper done.
This side, obviously we're missing that piece, but this blue is looking fantastic. All right, time to get them on the car. The rear bumper needs rivets to bond the lower part with the upper part. Not too hard, but make sure that you have the rivets ordered if you're doing it yourself. And just like that, we have the rivets in, and now we can apply the wheel arch trims. We can put the belt trim on, front hood scoop snaps right in, air ducts, some temporary side lights. We will be upgrading those to something else when it arrives. Finally, we can put the front bumper on. This is looking absolutely amazing. The light here is a little bit There we go. Incredible. That's my car. I miss driving a Mini. I cannot wait to drive this. This car is so close to being ready to drive. So next step now is to work on bleeding the clutch.
The slave cylinder, and as you can see, we only really need this bleeder screw right here. However, we cannot get the old one out. We have to replace the whole thing itself. So what we're gonna try to do is hot swap this.
We went to hot swap the slave cylinder, but no matter how hard we tried, the system would just leak. This is so dumb. We found the issue. It turned out that when we took the old one out, this fell into the bucket along with gasket.
That was the issue.
Probably don't need to bleed the entire system now.
Yeah, true.
It's all bled.
So if you were just replacing your transmission, you want to put this back, you actually have to carefully.
The new slave cylinder is installed. Now we can bleed the clutch.
Take 2 on the clutch.
There is a lot of air in this system. It's taking a good 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours.
My memory tells me it was harder to press than this on a normal Mini, but I could just be remembering it wrong. All right, whole new bottle. You get to flush this through the car and see what happens.
What does the brake pedal feel like? Normal?
Yeah, it's.
So we've got pressure in the entire system. Back down the ladder.
Yes.
After what felt like many, many hours, the clutch was feeling very good. And Dad has finished the wrap. He even did the impossible and wrapped the JCW spoiler, which looks incredible. He had to do it in a couple pieces, but I dare you to try to find where the seams are. All right, we should be ready to drive it. I'm very excited. Sorry, it's okay to be excited when you haven't driven a manual car in shameful, really.
First gear is fine.
First gear is good.
Yeah. Good, it's going into the gears. Time to take her for a rip.
Project coming to the channel soon.
It moves! Woo! Let's go, this car is so much fun. I miss driving a manual. There's a couple things we're gonna have to work on. We're going to have to work on the brakes. They're pretty bad. Definitely a bunch of coding we're gonna have to do. It's giving me some ABS and possibly airbag warnings. That's for a future video. So we hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Most of all, we hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one. Now, how does that affect your family and how you're...
My family's still disappointed in me. He grew up in a hard life. His mom left him. His dad left him. He didn't have any family. But he still made it. I would have starved.